Welcome to another Big Jimny video. Well, it's only 2 months away from the big event, the Big Jimny Meet North, that's going to take place on the 14th of July. I hope you've got your tickets. If you haven't, then check the links below where you can book yourself into the event. Remember that the entry is via ticket only, and also that there are no sort of general spectator admission. So you need a ticket and you need a Jimny to participate in the event. But of course, by Jimny we mean LJ, SJ, Jimny and Gen 4. So you're all welcome to come along. Just thought I'd make this video to run through a couple of things that you should be looking at and thinking about now if you're going to come along to the event, particularly those of you who are new to off-roading. So this is a sort of checklist of things to check on your car, get ready so that you're all prepared for the day. So the day itself is a general sort of day, so you can just meet in the car park, you can have a chat, you can talk with other Jimny owners, or you can actually go off and do some off-roading around the extensive course there is, and I'm sure that's what you want to do. You want to try your vehicle out. The site is suitable for all cars, all standards, so from the shiniest brand new ones through to the extreme off-roaders. You're all welcome. There's something for everyone. I just wanted to really address this to the new people, perhaps those in their shiny cars who are wondering what they've let themselves in for. So first of all, it's at Parkwood, as you probably know, and I will be sending out some emails and some maps and all that, and on the day there will be some goodies to give away as part of the entrance. But for now, I'll just sort of introduce a few of the things. On the Saturday evening before the event, a lot of the Jimnys are camping out overnight at Tong itself. There is a campsite there, and a good proportion of the entrants are actually camping out, and everyone has a really good time getting to know each other, socialising, having a bit of a barbecue and a chat on the Saturday evening. So it's well worth participating in that. And of course, if you camped, then you are ready in the morning for the event to start. So the main gates will open at 8 AM. This is because we really want to get a huge group photograph of everyone before we start the day. So as you come in, the entrance off the road, it's a little drive down to the site itself, and we'll explain a bit more about that in the email. And as you approach the site, you'll probably see my son James parked up with my black Jimny, and he'll be sort of checking people in through the gate. And then you need to look across the field to see Lambert, my sidekick on this, who will be there in his bowler hat, no doubt, and he'll be trying to herd you all into a nice formation for the first photograph. So that's sort of how the day will start. After that, you're free to go off. Now for the new cars and the beginners to this, we are going to run, along with the JB74 forum, we're going to run a couple of follow my leader trips around, in which a couple of experienced people will drive their car and you can follow them round, so that you know a nice safe track to sort of test your initial skills out, and you get right around the site following them. After that, you're free to then go off and do what you like. But for those of you who already are beginners, remember that the big thing about being a Jimny owner is the friendliness of all the other people. So if you want some more advice, seek out the guys with the vehicles. They will have flags on them, orange flags that say that they're a marshal. They will help you, they'll tell you, they'll even take you around in their car if you want to, if you'd rather go round and have a ride first to see what the course is like. And the other thing is if you've got any questions about them, just flag any of us down and say, you know, how do I put it in four-wheel drive, or any of those simple questions. No question is a silly question, so just feel free to ask. We'll be more than willing to help, as will everyone else there. All the other Jimny owners, if you've got an issue, just flag them down and they will help you and give you advice. So on to car preparation. Particularly if you've got a Gen 4 or a late Gen 3 that's still very shiny and that, and you've not been before, you may be interested in what you should be thinking about before you go. Now, in truth, this is a simple event and you don't really need to do a lot. So while some people think it's an excuse to go and buy the entire accessory shop of parts, in fact you can just get away with a few brief checks, and they're the obvious ones. So the first one will be open up the bonnet and check that things like your washer fluid is full, because you will probably want to clean the windscreen, and that your battery is strapped down, the battery bolts, the clamps are all nice and tight, so that your battery is fixed. Under the bonnet, that's probably all you need to do, particularly on a modern car, because the oil level is reporting to you and the water level is reporting to you on the dashboard. So just a quick check round for those sort of things. Outside the car, the thing to check is the tyre pressures. On the Gen 3, you can drop this down to 21, 22, something like that, perfectly easily for off-roading. On the Gen 4, the standard tyre pressure is 26 psi, and this is maintained and alerted by the TPMS system, so you can't go below that. But make sure that it is lowered to 26 psi, because a lot of dealers and tyre depots have them pumped way up hard, far too high. Anyway, so you'll find that the car's a much better ride down at 26 psi from standard. Around the back, if you've got an LCV, then you've already got a nice grille to separate you from all of the other bits and pieces you'll be carrying in the boot. But if you've got one with a normal open or with rear seats in, just check around for loose items and check that everything is in some way secured and stop from flying around, because if you do go over a bump or down a steep hill and that, you don't want bits of your luggage coming forward and hitting you. Okay, so have a good look in the back to make sure everything's strapped down. Again, if you've got a nice car inside, perhaps take some precautions in the seating area. So remove any very posh mats if you've got them, and if you've got some rubber ones, put those down, or just make sure the other mats are out so that you are just on the normal floor, because you can clean that out. And if you haven't got some of these expensive safari seat covers that are very popular, then just one of those polythene seat covers that you get when your car's serviced, and that will just slide over one of the seats just to make sure that your seat is protected, particularly if it's a sort of damp or slightly wet day when we're there. On that front, also think about boots. So again, the last few times we've been there, it has been like a dust bowl, but of course that doesn't always happen, and therefore take along some boots, Wellington boots or hiking boots with you. And I would recommend, particularly if you're going to drive your car home, that you take some soft shoes and a bin bag to put your muddy boots in, to put them in the boot of the car and carry them home in a safe way. Again, make sure you've got something with you, like water for the windscreen and the headlights. There is a hose there, but one of these little sprayers and a soft dustpan brush style brush, and that's so that you can squirt your windscreen and squirt your number plates and lights to make sure they're clean, because obscured lights or dirty number plates are something that the police would be stopping you for, so make sure they're nice and clean. And I would recommend, certainly with the windscreen, that you actually do spray it off and use the little brush, because if you wipe it with the windscreen wipers and you've got grit and that, then it will just scratch across your windscreen. On the driving front, and that, make sure that you both know how to put it in a four-wheel drive and that you've tested it. So on the Gen 4s and the early Gen 3s, you have a lever and you simply move it backwards to put it into, first of all, four-wheel high and then four-wheel drive low. Okay, so do that and make sure the relevant lights light up on the dashboard and don't flash at you. They've got to be nice solid lights come on. And also, I would, if you do have a loose gravelly surface nearby, I'd actually go and try and sort of drive it to check that it actually is in four-wheel drive, to confirm that it's there. Because if you don't use four-wheel drive, it can get sticky and not go in or fail. So before you go, make sure you've tested it. Now, if you've got one of the push-button ones from that sort of middle Gen 3 ones, the push buttons as in these pictures, you can see me pushing the buttons in and out. Make sure that they work and make sure that the light stops flashing, everything comes on, because unfortunately these are a bit notorious in not working properly on these cars. The solenoid motor that does the transfer shifting gets sticky, particularly if it isn't used. General tip is, if you've got one of these, even if you are not an off-road driver, even if it is a daily shopping trolley car, Move it in and out of four-wheel drive when it's stopped every now and again to exercise that solenoid, otherwise it will stick. Then when you're out on the course, another thing to do is actually try out some of the features, particularly again the ones that have got the hill descent control and the and so on. Go to a bit of the hill, go to a downward slope, take your feet off the pedals and let the car run down the hill, and with hill descent control working, okay? And see how it handles it, putting your feet on the floor and just letting it go, okay? You'll be surprised at how the car drives itself. So some of these features is a good opportunity to try them out. Now, if you do get stuck, the best thing to do is to wait for help and flag them down rather than getting into a worse mess. So hopefully you have not driven anything too severe and you've been following the little arrows. Now the arrows on this site, I'm afraid that they do have people play with the arrows because they have motorcyclists and all sorts of events there, and the little arrows on the trees do get mixed up. So they have a colour coding, blue, red and black at this site, where blue are straightforward for standard road going vehicles, red are medium to hard routes, for vehicles with proper off-road tyres and a driver with perhaps a little more knowledge and confidence, and black are really for roll cage only, fully prepared vehicles. You really do the blacks at your own risk. But what I said was, as I say, the little arrows do get messed around. So what I'd recommend you do is walk the route. Okay, there's no shame in stopping your car, getting out and walking ahead just to have a look at the route. Particularly, you don't want a route that starts off nice and blue, nice and easy, and get halfway along it and realise it's actually a red, and then you have to come backwards up the route. Okay, so walk it first, know where you're going, and have a walk through the woods. It's perfectly enjoyable. Walk your route and then drive through. Or the other trick is to wait to see someone else do it. Let them go first and then see if you can get through. Of course, you are responsible for your own safety on an event like this. So please make sure that you are driving within your capabilities, that you have checked things out and that you are happy that you know that the route you are doing is safe. There are on this site some motocross obstacles because it is a competition motocross site. The motocross obstacles, the sort of wooden ramp things, are all out of bounds to cars because basically heavy cars will destroy some of the equipment that they've got built on the site. There are also a couple of mud tracks and streams which they sometimes mark as being out of bounds. It seems to depend on the weather and that, but also on the day I will brief you if there's any specific briefings. Of course, children can come along with you. Basically, everyone can come along who's got a proper seat in your car with a proper seat belt. Dogs are also welcome provided they're kept on leads. There are some animals around. It is a working farm. There are alpacas up at the top and so dogs must be kept on a lead when moving around the site. So looking at recovery, first of all, don't panic. Someone will be there to help you out. Revving the engine, spinning the wheels will only make things worse, to be honest with you. You can try rocking the car by moving in and out of forward and reverse rapidly, but remember that the best ground is always behind you. Okay, when you were driving to get stuck, when you were driving on the route and then you got stuck, the last thing you were on was good ground because you were driving it, you know it's good. Okay, so it's the easiest way out because going on, trying to pull it on forwards means you might be getting into worse and worse and worse situations. So try and go backwards to get out of it because the good ground is behind you. If you need a tow on the modern Jimneys, be aware that the points around the vehicle underneath are not recovery points. Okay, they're not designed for recovery. They were designed for strapping the vehicle down in a ferry on its way here. Your car on its way from Japan was strapped into the ferry on these points. So they're weak. However, we do realise that you won't have proper industrial standard recovery points on a modern car. But to that extent, we also expect you to have not got badly stuck. And therefore, what we recommend is that if you don't have a bridle and that, then wait for someone to come along and get them to string what we call a bridle between the two points on the rear of the car. Looking up here underneath, you can see the 2 points. And get a bridle. You can see I've got my bridle attached here in the picture because that shares the pull effort between the 2 points. Okay, so you're immediately halving the load on each of those fairly weak points. Okay, and then do a gentle pull backwards, a smooth pull. Don't let anyone do a snatch pull where they accelerate their car against the strap itself. Okay, so just a gentle pull, and on this site with you're taking it care, you shouldn't need more than that just to get you backwards out of a stuck situation. I don't think there's necessarily any need to bring ropes, but if you are thinking of rescue kit to put in your car, because it's great in the winter to rescue other drivers on the road, then a bridle strap and then a recovery strap, a longer recovery strap, will see you fine as a set of equipment to keep in your Jimny for recoveries. At the end of the day, cleaning, I've mentioned about using a water bottle and sprayer to clean the lights and that. When you get it home, just a couple of points to remember. The radiator, do not jet wash your radiator. It will bend the fins of the radiator. Just soak it gently in running water from the end of a hose and let it, if it's got mud in the radiator, just let it get washed out by the hose. Don't leave it too long. Don't leave it to dry for a few days. You probably want to proudly go and park at work with the muddiest car in the car park to say, look what I've been doing at the weekend and that. But at the same time, try and wash out your radiator before it dries and hard in the veins, okay, so that you get it nice and clean and you don't have to jet wash it. Equally, underneath the car, okay, you've got the swivel joints on all versions of the Jimny, and this big rubber cover is just a dust cover. It's not really a seal. Everyone calls it a seal. It's not really a seal. Okay, it is designed to keep dust and dirt out of the joint, but not to keep fluid, because the joint itself is dry anyway. Okay, so don't jet wash this, because you'll be forcing water into the kingpin bearings and into that void in there, and that can only lead to the premature bearing failure in there. So just wash around those bits gently with a hose. And also the whole car, if it's covered in gritty sand, then jet washing it isn't a particularly good idea, because you'll be just sandblasting it with the grit that's on the car. So in summary, I hope you enjoy your day. We look forward to seeing you all there. And that, if you've got any questions, then those of you who have got tickets already can ask on the WhatsApp group any questions from anyone there, or you can drop me an email or give me a call via the Big Jimny website and we'll answer your questions. So until the day, we'll drive safely and we'll see you at Tong in July.